Welcome to Transformation Talk, an unusual one. Matthew Armstrong here with Skip Archimedes. I met Skip yesterday at his event in the Marriott Hotel. Awesome, inspirational events full of incredible information on health and life and just life, right?
Yeah, this is it. This is the game of life, so we might as well learn how to play that game well.
And so I've got no questions scripted or anything. You know, yesterday you talked a lot about the heart and the gut and everything, so I thought we'll just have a conversation from the heart.
Brilliant.
Let's just
what better place to start?
See what comes out. So
Perfect.
I was super impressed with everything you were saying yesterday. Your story's incredible. You know, you've come back from amazing odds, back from injury, where doctors said you weren't going to walk again, and then won the British Gymnastics Championships again, etc. So, you know, it's an incredible story. Maybe you can just take us through that. What actually happened there?
Well, I mean, the bullet points of that are, you know, I had an injury in the gym, doing gymnastics, and snapped the vertebra in the spine. Spent 6 months in traction in a machine, just moving like this to get the circulation just going up and down the body. And believed that, because I was told I was never going to walk again, that's what I believed. And what I now know is our belief systems create our reality. And for 4 months, because I believed what I was told, and it wasn't just by one expert, there was 6 of them in the end, I ended up believing that was it. I was never going to end up walking again. And when I heard about Bruce Lee, what it did was it opened up a new reality, because he broke his back, he came back fitter and stronger than ever, and became someone who had a real powerful influence on the planet, not just with his movies. His philosophy was, you know, people don't know how spiritual this guy was. He was amazing at what he taught.
And so young as well. You know.
He really got it. And learning what I learned from him, it just opened up the world of the mind, body and spirit, and that's what we are. You know, we know we're this body. You know, everyone knows that they've got this body because they live in it. But most people are living up in their minds, whereas you look at children, who I believe are the smartest people on the planet, they're in their bodies, they're constantly moving all the time, and the body was created to move. And as we become older and older and older, we think we're getting wiser and wiser and wiser, but we're actually getting stupider and stupider, because we stop living in the body, we start living in the mind, and then the mind starts screwing the game up, and the non-physical part of what we are, our spirit, people talk about it, but they're not really connecting to it, because when you do connect to it, you see the bigger picture of life, and you just see that, you know, I mean, we're surrounded by, you know, beauty here, and you realise that that there's magic in this planet. You know, what makes the trees grow, what makes the waves move, what makes our heart beat, what makes us, like, if we cut ourselves, what's going to help us to, you know, recover that injury. It happens naturally. And, you know, even my most, and obviously I went through these teachings, and this is while I was still in traction, and it just shifted what I was focusing on. It shifted how I thought, how I felt, and because I wasn't creating the resistance, the limitless power that we literally do have as human beings, it started to, you know, pulse through this body. And
what was the switch for you? Was it like a big aha moment, or was it just
the aha moment for me was just knowing that Bruce Lee did it, because as soon as I knew that someone else had done it, it made it so possible for me, because all I had in my mind was, if he did it, why can't I do it? And it's like Roger Bannister, you know, when he ran the 4-minute mile, everyone said, oh, it's impossible for that human body to run a 4-minute mile, and there were these so-called sports scientists who basically said it is impossible for a human body to run a 4-minute mile. He had a different belief system, smashes a 4-minute mile, next year 37 other people smash a 4-minute mile. So what changed for them? The possibility that it can happen. And
you must have some self-belief, because you must have been able to see that what was in Bruce Lee was also in you, right?
And in you, and in everyone else here. You know, there's nothing special in me that isn't in anybody else who's watching this this interview. We all have the magic within us, and like and then obviously came back after that and won the English champs. And my most recent injury was we're filming this movie at the moment where I've got a whole bunch of these experts around the world who are leaders in their field, and was climbing up this waterfall, fell down this waterfall 30 feet, and this tailbone landed straight on a rock at the bottom, snapped this wrist, clean break right across the wrist, and the tailbone snapped. That went from a C shape straight into an L shape, and it knocked way over one side of the body.
That's a ridiculous injury.
It's crazy, and they wanted to operate immediately.
The pain must have been like unbearable. When you like land on your coccyx bone, it's even from this height.
Yeah,
the pain's incredible.
Yeah,
So I can't imagine.
But again, pain is a lot of it's created in the mind, and we make it worse in the mind. And when I checked out of hospital, literally the day I was in there, because I knew if they were going to operate, I knew it was going to rip me open. There was no way I was going to be able to do this on the Saturday. We had an event on the Tuesday, and I knew that if they'd done the operation, there was no way I was going to do this operation. Now, when we get this spiritual connection, you learn how to open up, and it's just like Wi-Fi. You got your phones, you get your code, you get Wi-Fi, you get connected to the whole world. You can have the phone, but without that Wi-Fi code, there's no connection. And when we learn to have this spiritual connection, and it really is about going deep within, because the answers are actually inside us. And we don't have to go out there and try and find the answers anywhere else. We just have to learn how to go deep within, and those answers come real quick and real powerful. And I just asked the question, am I really meant to be on stage doing this event on Tuesday? And the answer came in yes before it even finished answering the question. Didn't have a clue how it was going to happen. And it did happen. I went through like some rituals, some procedures that I go through, and the powers that be did their work, and all I had to do was not create resistance. And this is the big metaphor for life. What resistance are you creating in your life? Because the only thing stopping us from where we are to where we want to be is us. That's it. We'll blame other people. We'll say it's their fault. This situation didn't help me, and we're always coming up with these excuses, and the excuses are what's creating the resistance and it's creating the block. And I just had to make sure that I just got out my own way.
Right.
And 3 days after that, we fly to Singapore, and we do an event for 1,000 people in Singapore. And the reason I'm saying this is not to impress anyone about me, it's to impress upon you what magic we all have inside us as human beings. And when we really get the fact that we are a mind, body and spirit, and the spirit is limitless. The mind can have limitations, the body can have limitations, but the spirit, that's free. And children are more connected to spirit than most adults. That's why they're moving all the time, they're playing all the time, they're creating all the time. They go into this state of joy for no reason. They can pick up a stone and find a whole universe in a stone. Whereas we're driving around in our cars, and a lot of people have got great houses now, or the right clothes, and we're still finding things to complain about. And it's just this mechanism, this program in the brain, and we've literally been programmed to find what's wrong instead of finding what's right. And when we start to look for those things in life that are right, whole new realities open up for us.
Yeah.
And it changes the game of life.
It's making that connection with the body. You're talking about the connection with the heart, with the gut, etc. I guess you would have got a lot of that from gymnastics. Like for me with martial arts, I would have got a lot of that from martial arts. And what I teach my martial arts students is, you need to come into your body. Because as children, if you're behind a child and you call the child will come around like this to look at you, because he's moving from here. He's in his body. If you call an adult, they go, because they're in their head. They're not in their body, they're in their head, so they go this. But a child will actually move from his body like this.
Love it.
And that's with martial arts, you're moving your body movement.
Love it. And what's Bruce Lee say? Don't think, feel.
Right.
And what do you do? What's this intuition? It's a feeling. And that's really, our intuition, our gut feeling is such a powerful tool, because let's say you're walking down the street and you've got your headphones on, you might be on the phone or something, and suddenly a lorry is coming down. And you suddenly realise, oh my God, this lorry's going to hit me. You don't have time to think to get out of the way. Bam! Instinct gets you out of the way. It's the whole body that gets you out of the way. And our instinct, your gut feeling, it's like your inner GPS system. And it guides you through life. And when you learn to trust it, the herd might be going this way, And you might be programmed to go this way, but something in your gut's going to go, we got to go this way. And every time you follow your gut instinct, you're going to start to find that you're going to grow and expand through your challenges. And I mean, how fast this, like the wrist healed and the tailbone that snapped healed, blew my mind. You know, I've never had a healing happen this fast.
Are you fully healed now from that?
Pretty much.
And how long ago was that?
Now we're probably got about 10 weeks now.
Jesus.
It's insane.
That's incredible.
It's insane. It's crazy. And the same with this snapped Achilles heel.
Yeah.
When that snapped, they were saying to me, 9 months, and you may get 70% strength and flexibility. 3 months later, I'm literally backflipping the whole stage at the Royal Albert Hall doing a massive show called Puccini's Le Bohème.
Right.
And it's because where focus goes, energy flows. You know, it's a real simple concept to understand, but what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on your problems and having them expand? Because as soon as the problem comes up, you can guarantee the solution is coming up at the same time.
Right.
And we have the choice what we want to focus on. And if we keep focusing on, right, maybe we are more powerful than we know. Maybe we're more powerful than our brain can understand. And this thing that we live in, our human body it's the most phenomenal computer system on the face of the planet. We're designing things like phones and cameras and computers and planes and trains and cars and all of these things which are amazing, but we can't design something like a human eye. We haven't got that intelligence. You know, we can't design a human heart and have it work the way it actually works.
Yeah.
So, what designed it? There's an intelligence behind this, and when you get that spiritual connection, you can connect to that intelligence and have a connection with it and literally have that breathe through you. And when people get this connection, you'll just be amazed at how life starts to unfold in front of your eyes when you open up to new possibilities. And that's the game of life. You know, we're meant to have these challenges. We're meant to have the rug pulled out from under our feet every now and again, because I really believe that life begins outside your comfort zone. It's really easy to be in your comfort zone, and being in your comfort zone is being in a nice warm cozy bed where it's nice and snuggly, and we love being there from time to time, but you don't want to live there. Yeah. And it's hard to get out of, and these are like bad habits, they're hard to get out of. But when you're open and you want to explore, children are exploring and they've got no limits. And when we can add that childlike spirit into our life becomes more fun, and you actually see life as one big playground. Yeah. It's really super cool.
Yeah, you've obviously made some connection, you know, to source or something, and that's what you're teaching now. That's what you want to show people. There's this thing that you can connect to, and you know, going back to the heart and the gut. You know, you were talking yesterday about the first thing that grows in the womb is the gut, right? It's not the brain. It's not the it's the gut that grows, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of us in life procrastinate. We don't know what decision to make. Right? Well, we could do that, or we could do that, and
we get stuck.
That's why a lot of people don't actually achieve what they want, because they don't really know what they want, and they're not sure.
Yeah.
And they're just not sure what decision to make. You know, how do we go about making the correct decisions?
Well, first of all, we've got to get out of our heads.
Right.
We really have to get out of our heads, because your head's going to screw the game up. We now know that we've got a guy in the movie, Joe Dispenza, and he's saying that 90% of most people's thoughts now are negative. And this is whether you're rich or poor, successful in the material world or not, tall, short, thin, big, it doesn't matter what you know where you're at in life. If 90% of most people's thoughts are screwing their lives up, what's going on? The head's screwing the game up. Now, the mind is such a powerful tool when you're the one who's in charge of it. And the only way to feed the mind is you have to be in your heart center. You've got to love what you do, because when you love what you do, we've got two sides of the brain, and we've got left side, more logical. You know, we can systemize and compartmentalize things. And we've got the right side where it's more creative. We get into ways where we express ourselves. And this is one of the things that Bruce Lee was saying, express yourself. Yeah. If you express yourself from your brain, you're going to understand that most people's thoughts are really, that they're beating themselves up with their own thoughts. And when you get in your heart place, because, and this is another thing, people get writer's block. And the writer's block happens because they're in their brain. The brain is not the source of creation. It's the heart. And when you put your heart and soul into the things you do, when you put love into the things you do, what happens is this energy emanates from you so much greater than when you're in your mind. And it electrifies the whole of the brain, and you start to use the whole of the brain at once. Where if you need to be logical on something, you can go there, but you can be creative almost like at the same time. And you're not just, you wouldn't hop your way through life.
Right.
You've got 2 feet, and you'd use 2 feet. This thing is designed perfectly. So's the brain. And one of the best ways to really help yourself make decisions is you have to get into a good state of being. You've got to feel good. Because if you're making a decision where you're not feeling so good, you can guarantee that decision has just screwed your life up. So you're going to have to remake that decision again.
So give us
from a better place.
Give us a tool.
Real simple. Get in your body and shake that ass. No, I'm kind of joking, but I am being serious. Because when you move your body in fun ways, what happens is these endorphins get released from the brain, and it allows you to feel good naturally. So anytime you've got to make a decision, get out, move your body, put some music on that you enjoy, that allows you to feel good. Get into a good feeling state, and then from that place, when you make a decision, it's going to be an empowering decision. You're going to make, it's like, if we've got a line here, and we imagine that this line is, say, like the seawater. Under the line, let's say there's darkness, there's fear, there's regret, there's poor me, there's victim mentality, there's, God, why is the world so... all of these, like, why, these disempowering questions will come from below the surface. When you come above the surface, you've got enlightenment, you've got optimism, you've got joy, you've got fun, you've got success, you've got all of these things that are above the line. And of course, because life happens in waves, every now and again we are going to dip, but it's impossible to stay up here.
Right.
I don't know anyone who
Yep.
stays up here
Yep.
24/7 all the time.
Yep.
And if
very
they
true.
do,
Yep.
they might be someone who goes and lives in a cave for half their years, but have a family
Right.
and then see what happens.
Right. Tell me about it.
So, and we're meant to procreate, we're meant to have kids.
Yeah.
And because, I bet your kids teach you some amazing things.
Oh, they're the toughest teachers as well,
Yeah, they are.
They teach me amazing things.
They
and
really are.
They teach me patience and self-control.
All of these things, they're going to test you. Your family is going to
Yeah.
test you more than anything. Those who you're closest to
Yeah.
are going to be able to shake you more than anyone. But the truth is, they're not shaking you. You're shaking yourself, because when you found that alignment and you've really found that inner balance where something's going to come in, bam. It might knock most people over, but when you've learned how to be strong, when you've learned how to be create that balance, when you've learned how to focus on the right things, when you've learned how to take the right action, suddenly what might take most people down can be the very thing that empowers you. And it's like my situation with the back, and people hear this story, oh man, it must have been so bad. I was like, no way, that was my best teacher. Those 4 months where I went into deep depression, it showed me what people go through. And when you've experienced things like that, you understand that life can beat people up if they don't get these teachings. And the stuff that I'm sharing, the stuff that you're sharing, you're not learning this in schools, people aren't learning this in colleges and universities, the governments probably don't even know this stuff exists. And how's it going to get into the mainstream?
I don't want you to know that it exists.
I always like to see the best in things, so I just like to believe that maybe they just don't know this exists. And maybe the governments did at one point and they wanted to control and manipulate people, but if I go into that mode, I go into judgment mode, and what I know is that anytime you're in judgment mode, you can't help yourself or anybody else in that moment.
Very good. Yeah.
And what I found is that, it's our job to manage our state of being, and you're creating, we're all creating our own destiny. No one can create your destiny for you. It's our life, it's our body, it's our mind. There are decisions, and everyone is where they are in life because of the decisions that they're made. And as you start to feed your body what it needs, as you start to feed your mind what it needs, and that doesn't mean dumping the news in there, it doesn't mean dumping soap operas in there. It doesn't mean dumping the problems in there, because that stuff's always going to resurface. It's putting things in there that really, really empower you. And one of the easiest ways to do that is find people who you admire in life. Find out how they became successful. Listen to their audios, watch their videos, go and watch them at live events. Start to absorb that stuff. And all of a sudden you'll find yourself being like a child, and you're just absorbing information all the time, because children absorb stuff way faster than adults. Why? Because they have less resistance. And we're now seeing, the first time in human history, the grandchildren are teaching the parents and the grandparents new things. Like on these apps, on the on the phones and all this type of stuff. How come? They've just got more options open, because they're not blocked with programming that doesn't work. It's time to update our systems.
Right. So that's the main thing, right? Is our thoughts, our beliefs, etc. But then also, you came back from a broken back. You've come back after 10 weeks from a tailbone that was twisted around, the broken wrist, etc. It's obviously your belief system, your beliefs about yourself, and what you can do. You're basically the paradigm you live in has helped you heal very, very quickly from that.
There are habits that go with that.
Right. So how much of it is just that? How much of it is also nutrition or corrective movement or whatever, as well?
Good question. So there is, everything's linked, and what you put in your body, what food you're putting in your body, it becomes your body, because about a year from now, most of the cells in our bodies are brand new cells. And if you're putting in food, and most people are eating food that is draining the body of energy. They're putting in processed stuff, they're putting in the meat, they're putting in the dairy. All of these things are having an acidic effect on the body. And when there's acid in the body's going to break down.
Yeah.
So most people get gifted a really healthy body, and they spend their life breaking their bodies down because they don't know any different. After they've seen this, you will know different. So you can make some good choices.
Yeah.
And I mean, I live on a plant-powered diet now. Haven't eaten meat in nearly 13 years now.
Me too.
And I mean, you got people out there now. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Why is he now declaring to the world that he's gone vegan? Because he's a smart guy. Whether you like him or not, you can't not respect what he's done.
Yeah.
And when you realise that live food, good nutrients, superfoods, things like this that are going to nourish the cells in our body, and breath is a simple thing. I mean, when one of the things that I done on the Saturday when I fell down the waterfall, one of the things that I got guided to do to get on stage on Tuesday, I stopped eating. So I was just on live foods. We have our own superfoods. I was taking our superfoods. That was it, and our nutrients. That was it. There was no because we use about 70% of our energy to chew the food, swallow the food, have the gut, break that food down, disperse those nutrients. If you eat good food, disperse those nutrients around the body, and then eliminate the waste. That's a lot of energy that the body's using. So in those moments, all I was on, live juices, superfoods, so that those nutrients are going in there. And before I knew it, I was up on that stage, and I was just as amazed as anyone to be able to get up there and do it. But when you're a pioneer, when you're a leader, and you're the front runner, you're the one who's finding this new ground. And when you have these extreme situations happen, then suddenly you're like, wow, how much more powerful are we? What's the next step? And what I really believe in our lifetime now, I think that we're going to be seeing like the first of our superhuman athletes. And I think that, humans are going to go into a new league, because there's a huge difference between being fit and being healthy. And we're now seeing like professional athletes all over the world having heart attacks and strokes and dying on the field.
Yeah.
And people are freaking out, and the medical experts around them are going, I don't get it. Yeah. This person was so fit but not healthy. No. When you have health as your foundation, and then you build strength on top of that, you build power on top of that, you build speed on top of that, you build endurance on top of that, you build flexibility and balance on top of that, suddenly you're walking around in something that every time you wake up in the morning, it's like, wow, I'm back in the game, let's go and live another day. And you're excited like a child to go and give your best to that day. Not waking up and hitting that snooze button and going, oh God, and then you open your, oh God, I've got to go and do this today, I've got to do that today. And we can do, and some people might watch this and go, yeah, but it's all right for you. You travel around the world, you got the life of your dreams. but it had to be designed that way. I didn't just fall into it. And most people, like, instead of them designing their life, they're living life with a default program that doesn't work. And
how do you break that program then?
one is start having fun. Really start having fun. You know, find things to laugh at. Find things that make you smile. Because otherwise life can get really heavy. And if we can start to just make ourselves lighter, if we can start to see the fun in life, if we can start to, you know, be more playful, be more joyful like children, and we can take that childlike spirit into whatever it is that we're connected to in life, then suddenly things start to change, because when we change, the things we look at change. Whereas we want the thing to change without us changing, and it's never going to happen. So it's time for us to access our free will in ways where it feels good. You know, life wants us to feel good. Life wants us to manifest our dreams. It wants us to create the reality that we came here to create. And I know what it's like when you're in that dark place. You know, when I was in traction, I could never have imagined life would have unfolded the way it has unfolded. And this is the beautiful thing about spirit, because it's limitless. You can go beyond what you can imagine right now. And even Einstein said this, you know, imagination is way more powerful than just information and knowledge. And we're dumping all this stuff in our brains all the time, and it's like we're drowning in all this information, but we're starving of wisdom. And if you want to learn wisdom, just look at a child. They act with wisdom because they're real, they're truthful, they speak their truth. They're not wearing any masks. And a lot of us we've got these masks that society has given us, or our families have given us, or we've given ourselves on who we want to be, and we're just pretending to be something we're not.
It's a facade, right? You just got to break the facade and be ourselves. That's something that you were like getting across to everybody yesterday. You got to be yourself. You know, you got to take that mask off, and that's what you're getting everyone to, like, you know, get up and move and dance, etc. You know, start to break out of that, right?
And it's funny because, like, the things that we did, you know, at the event yesterday, it was such a cool event. It's, you know, it's the first time I brought that type of event to Spain. And you know, we've taken the events over to Asia, to like Singapore and Malaysia and Thailand, and it's so funny because the more reserved people are, the bigger their mask is, the bigger their breakthrough is going to be at that event. And it's so funny because when I get people to do things, you just see their faces. He's going to have me doing what? Is he serious? I'm really going to do that. And it's because they haven't done these natural things in such a long time. When I take them through the process, they're like, oh my God, that was amazing. I loved doing it. And they forgot what was real. And what was real was to be fluid. What was real is to just enjoy being us, to be happy for no reason, to understand that we don't need to achieve this and this and this and find this right relationship and get this £1 million and get the dream home and get the helicopters and get the toys that you want and then you'll be happy. It's the other way around. When you can find that happiness for no reason, you'll start to pull these things into your reality with a lot more ease because you're not creating the resistance. And when you look at children, they just don't have that resistance. And the second they're bored on something, they let go of that and they go and play on something else. And we are in this entertainment phase of life where we want to be entertained. But what we've got to make sure we do is, through that entertainment, we are nourishing the body. Because it's a minefield out there. You know, you just have to go and look at how people are eating now. They're now eating because they've got addictions to food, like it's a drug. And in those foods, you've got the wrong fats. You've got the sugars or the sugar substitutes. You've got the wrong salts. You've got processed stuff. You've got things that when you eat them, this acid is going around the body. And if you put acid, even on a metal surface, that acid's going to burn a hole in it. And we need to live in an alkaline environment. You know, our body needs to be alkaline. And when we're round about 7.4, we now know disease can't live and manifest in that body. And, you know, because there might be people watching this who have been diagnosed with a life-threatening symptom, and even Deepak Chopra says it now, you know, people aren't dying of the disease anymore, they're dying of the diagnosis of the disease, because there's such a mystery around these diseases now that when you get diagnosed with something, you just freak out. And then people are going on lots of medication, and we now know a lot of these medications, well, all the medications have side effects, and we're now seeing more people dying of the correctly prescribed medication, not the wrong medication, the correctly prescribed medication, than actually die at war. And no one lives in our body, no one knows your body like you, because you live in it. And we just got to make sure that, you know, we're going out and we're getting our foods from nature. And when you're eating these live foods, when I say live foods, I mean like they're in their raw state. So we're talking fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, grains, things like that. And when they're live and they're in their state, you're taking in that life force energy. And if you want to be alive, you've got to eat live.
We're taking it in right now. We're
getting our vitamin
D.
Exactly,
you know.
exactly.
We could have sat indoors with our shirts on, but
exactly.
This was a great decision, I think, right?
There you go. So we're just like
rooftop.
tanning ourselves. And that vitamin D is, I mean, do you know that 200 to 300% more people are dying of vitamin D deficiency now than cancer? Right. That's insane. And everyone's got to stay out the sun's going to do you bad, especially in Asia.
Right. Yeah,
you know, these people, it's amazing, like, you know, here, everyone's like, you know, they're getting their sun, and they're even having fake tan, they're going on the sunbeds, and they want to get this orange colour. And,
Spain is seen as to be the healthiest country in the world now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Go on, Spain. Yeah. And in Asia, out there, I couldn't believe when I first got out there, I'm looking at all these billboards, and I'm seeing stuff to make your skin go white.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I said, is that a joke? And my partner said, no, that's real. You know, people want white skin. I'm like, oh my God, we always think the grass is greener. And that's staying out the sun. They're not. And when I was saying, guys, you got to get yourself, you want to get your skin exposed in the sun for about 20 minutes a day, because that vitamin D is so essential. And
it's the transporter. It transports the other nutrients to the cells. And so without the vitamin D, there's a whole host of other symptomologies that can be received from that. You know?
Yeah, but you know, if you haven't got a healthy gut, you could be eating the right foods, but then your body can't extract those nutrients from them. If you're not getting your vitamin D, how are those nutrients going to get transported to where they're needed? They're just not. And there would be no life on this planet if it wasn't for that amazing thing up there in the sky. And you just have to look at animals. You know, animals with thick fur. Why do they go and bathe out in the sun? Because they're absorbing it. They're not letting the mind screw them up. They're doing what feels right. They're on instinct. And when we get back to instinct, you'll start to act before thinking. And when you get in that place, you get in what I call the flow state. When you get in that flow state, creation happens through you, and it happens easily. And you enjoy being the creator of whatever project that you're putting your focus on. And you end up realizing that we are these created gods and goddesses. You know, for us to be inside a human body with a heart that beats without us even thinking about it, with us that breathe without really thinking about it, with muscles, with a framework, with... I mean,
it's miraculous.
Flawless, the design of this. And most people are taking it for granted and they're abusing it. And, you know, one of the easy ways to really help people get into that place where they can just feel good is to really focus on things that we're grateful for, to really cultivate this an attitude of gratitude.
That's the key, right? Yeah.
It really is. You know, when you understand that we live in this vibrational reality, that gratitude is a really, really high vibration. And it's not to say, yeah, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for my car, I'm grateful for my eyes, because there's no feeling in that. You've got to really feel it. Right, okay, why are you grateful for your eyes? You know, what incredible things have your eyes seen? I mean, like, think right now, what can you remember that when you saw it, something, it could have been a person, it could have been something seen, you know, some scenery, it could have been, you know, it could have been anything, that when you saw it, wow, it just took your breath away. Give thanks to that, because you've now got that memory that you can recall at any moment in life. And the idea is to start setting your life up where you just create magic memory, magic memory, magic memory, and all these magic memories. Because at the end of your life, I really don't think that you're going to regret things that you've done, because we're all going to make mistakes. You know, we're fallible human beings. We're born to make mistakes. But I believe that we're going to regret the things that we didn't do, and think, damn, what would happen if I did it? And that's where, you know, if you're making a decision out of fear, you know it's the wrong decision, and you have to see that fear and just go through it. And fear is just an illusion. You know, we know the anagram for fear: false evidence appearing real. The fear's not even real in most cases.
Yep.
Fear was given to us to save us if an animal or something was going to chase us. And you know, now we're just not in that place, and a lot of the fears that people go through are created in the mind. So that's why we've got to get out of the mind. We've got to get back in the body. And when we get back in the body and we just start to do some simple things, you know, just look for the next step. Try not to get overwhelmed, because you know, nature is so complex. There's so much around. Society's putting so much pressure on us, and it makes it really hard for us to feel good, really easy for us to feel bad. So we just got to look for that next step, that next thing that, you know, what's going to make me feel good? And when you take it, you're now moving your life in a journey where at least that next step felt good.
Just take the next step.
Just take the next step.
Yeah,
Baby steps is what it's all about.
And keep going. Yeah.
And keep going. And I mean, look at children. You know, when you were a child, you stood up and you fell down. You stood up, you took a step and you fell down. Falling down is part of the game. You know, just like me falling down the waterfall. It was part of the game. It was perfect. It was really perfect. And every time you get back up, you get the strength. And you have to let people figure things out for themselves, because if you're doing it for them, you're making them weak.
So now you're, just to finish off your mission and purpose. You know, you've got your book, The 10 Commandments of Health.
Well, we've got the 10 Commandments for Health. We're launching another book next year, which is attached to the movie. That's all around Forever Young. Teaching people to really start living forever young, because I found people around the world in their 70s, 80s, 90s and 100s who are looking a fraction of their age, they're acting a fraction of their age, they play through life, they have the energy just like what I have, and they brought that childlike spirit with them no matter what challenges they've gone through. And those people inspired me so much that I just wanted to share that with people. So now it's not just me sharing it from me. We're using other examples. So we've got the movie coming out next year. We're doing a documentary at the moment as well.
The movie looks great. I saw the trailer yesterday. It just looks incredible. I can't wait to see it. You know, a lot of the teachers who I've learned from are speakers on it. I was even interested to see Tom Knowles was on it. I met Tom Knowles in this house in Beverly Hills years ago, you know, and did meditation with him and everything. You know, and oh, he's on the video.
Yeah, good old Tom. So it's, you know, it's one of those things where we want to be entertained. That's why we're doing the movie, because within like 90 minutes, we're going to be able to give people an experience that at the end of it, they're really going to want to start going out there and celebrating their life, because life should be a big celebration. And you know, we had, like, you know, one of my clients there, a movie star, you know, Tamer Hassan, and when I started coaching him, he was in darkness. You know, he'd lost all his money, wasn't getting any jobs, him and his wife were split, very angry person, he was about 19, 20 stone in weight, and was just on this self-sabotage, you know, downward spiral. And, you know, you saw him yesterday, you know, he's happy, he's healthy, him and his wife are madly in love with each other. He's just bought a £4 million house. He's turning jobs away now. And the reason why that changed in his life is because he was hungry for the change. And we have to be the change. You know, we want other people to change. We want life to change. When we become the change, we start to feel the power that is residing inside the 100 trillion cells that make up your physical body. I mean, think about your cells. These cells, these 100 trillion cells, they're working on autopilot. You didn't even think about it.
One thing I got from Tamer yesterday as he was talking was, you know, he was like the big guy, you know, the big sort of hard nut as well, you know.
God. Yeah, he was a crazy dude.
And he was hungry for change, but also he had to humble himself. You know, I think that's something that's really important. Is you know, for when we're in that place, is we actually have to humble ourselves and ask for help and see that, oh, maybe I don't have all the answers. Maybe I can learn from somebody else. Maybe I can be helped.
And don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, because one of the things that really screws people's lives up is feeling alone, feeling lonely, and not going and asking, you know what, I need someone to lean on just for a little bit. I need, you know, someone to help me. Because not asking for help, you just create this barrier around yourself, and that's almost like a cancer cell. That's like having a tumour inside the body where the cells aren't communicating effectively to one another. And when and I see this with a lot of my clients when I first started coaching them, because these are like really successful people, but it's kind of like as you're climbing that ladder of success and you do become more successful, it's like you start to get less and less people around you, and a lot of, especially like celebrities and top business people, the people around them just become yes people, and they stop challenging them, they stop being honest with them, they just tell them what they want to hear. And in the end, you end up believing your own hype. And when you believe your own hype, you're going to take yourself out the game. And that's what happened with Tamer.
Right.
And he believed all the stuff that ended up being the very thing that took him down, and he went down quick. But the super cool thing is that when you change and you're open for change, you can come back up just as quick as well.
Yeah.
And so I really do believe that our challenges are our blessings in disguise. I really believe that. And,
for sure, yeah.
And that's why now I really feel blessed to be able to go all over the world, running live events, running retreats, creating products and services for people to just connect them to this stuff, because everyone can have this. Everyone.
Yeah.
They really can. And when you find that, when you're in that place of darkness, the light is still there. And when you find that light within and it starts to shine out, you just like the sun. The sun is shining on us now. It doesn't wake up and hit that snooze button. It shines on everyone. It shines on the rich people. It shines on the poor people. It shines on the good people. It shines on the bad people. It shines on people with religious backgrounds, people with no religious backgrounds, people with all different beliefs. It shines on everyone. And we have this light within us. And when you start to connect with it, all you're going to want to do is emanate your light, shine your light on everyone that you come in contact with, because you feel good when you shine it. You really, really do. And you start to see life through a different set of eyes then.
That's awesome. Like we could talk all day.
We could, but I've got to go get a flight.
Right. With the experience that you want to give people, that happens in your events, in your retreats. If anyone wants a taste of you, they can get it from your books, or find you online and watch.
If they really do want to get the book now, they just got to go to skiparchimedes.com. It's called The 10 Commandments for Health, and what it does is it gives people this framework around their life where you'll start to live your life with these 10 things, but at the end of each chapter there's a scroll, and the scrolls are empty, because as you go through each one of these commandments, you're going to fill in that scroll, and that, like how you would move your body is going to be different to how I would move my body, but we have to move the body.
Right.
So it's different for everyone. So when you fill in the scrolls, eventually you're going to have 30 new habits that you created when you get to the end of the book, and you're going to start to live your life off these scrolls, and these scrolls will literally become your scriptures. That you're going to live your life of empowerment by your design, not by someone else telling you should do this or you should do that. And you got to do what you want to do, and you're going to go through life, and if you make better decisions, you really start to realize that this planet we're living on has so much beauty, and inside of us we have so much beauty, and the more we access it, the more we start to share that beauty with other people that we come in contact with.
That's awesome.
Cool, man.
Thanks very much.
Brilliant. Cheers, brother.
Awesome.
Wicked.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Anytime, man.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody, and check out the links below to go and check out more about Skip and what he does, and get on his events. They're incredible experiences, and you'll get the Skip Archimedes experience. Right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Take care.
Adios.